Like since the Iris Prize last year, basically we've gone into some development like on the script, and so specifically I workshopped the script at the Sundance Lab in 2007, and then also came back in 2008 and did it again, and also did the Sundance Directors Lab, and then also so the script is like finalized and in a great place, and also working now with FET Brown as exec producer for fundraising, and also working with Edie Velasco as casting director. She cast Half Nelson, and so between the two of them, like we're like hoping to find the funding soon, and specifically like we're focusing our efforts on private investors, because we feel that, you know, the people who are going to want to see the story told are going to be people actually in the gay community who just want to see this story and hear these voices, not necessarily from studio or from industry. So my documentary is called Eventual Salvation, and it's based on my grandmother, who was born in Louisiana but moved to Liberia in the 1950s because she got fed up with all the racism in the United States. And so while she was there, she became an educator, a landowner, and became like a really highly regarded member of the community. And in 1993, she was forced to flee Liberia, like after the Civil War had like escalated to some extent, and her name came up on a death list because the rebel soldiers were looking for educators, doctors, lawyers to kill. And so basically she came back to the US in 1993, and then in 2005, after the election of the new president, Madam Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, my grandmother moved back to Liberia to try to reconnect with her friends and rebuild her life. And so the documentary is that story of her going back to rebuild and reunite with her friends, and the story of her friends also rebuilding. So it's a very personal first story, verite kind of piece that I'm really excited about, and was fortunate enough to have the support of Sundance on that one as well. We got a documentary grant from them on that one. Yeah, it still bothers me, but you know, the fact that it's kind of funny, like I'm not able to convert my own parents, but it's nice that I'm able to talk to someone else's parents. You know, the fact that some of the actors' parents came and were really kind of touched by it, like means a lot to me. So I think, you know, hopefully like in the end they'll come around, but just the fact that someone's mom and dad might think differently about it is satisfying for me. So like I'm hoping to come back either this winter or very early like next year to live, and maybe live like in the Buttetown area, but I want to come and live and really soak in the culture, because I have some ideas for stories, but I feel like I can't legitimately like write anything until having met people and been around something, because I really want it to be authentic and I want it to resonate. So it's important for me to come here and really like live in the city before I launch into like making, you know, presume to make a film about the city. And so I'm not for sure, but I definitely am interested in like the African communities that have lived here. So whether it's some Somali community, or I also want to like do a lot of research on like what West African groups moved here. So something like around that. But I'm really curious about the African communities that lived here, because that's close to home for me, and that's something I can feel passionately about. I got my MBA from Florida A&M University as a business major. I started my first job as a Procter & Gamble. They're like a big packaged goods company in Ohio. From there, I went on to Sharing Plow, which is a pharmaceutical company. And then my third job, Colgate. By the time I got there, I figured out, okay, maybe it's not the job, maybe it's me. I'm not really doing like what I like to do. So I've always like loved to write, but I had kind of put it on the back burner. So I started to think of ways I could try to make writing like a part of my life. And so that kind of led me to film school. And so 2003, I quit my job and went to film school and at New York University, and been making films ever since. So I'm new at this. I'm like kind of like a baby in this field, but I'm happier for it, and I'm excited about what's to come. I met my producer and girlfriend, Nikisa Cooper, like at Colgate Palmolive. So I don't mourn the other life, because if I had not gone through that, I would not have met her. And also I think a lot of the skills that I learned there are transferable, because the film industry is about commerce as much as it is about art. So being able to understand both worlds and speak both languages, I think is definitely helpful to me as a filmmaker. Yeah, so I moved to Long Beach, California, and I'm living there now, and I'm kind of bouncing back and forth between there and Brooklyn actually now, because we are starting development and pre-production like on the feature film of Pariah.
But is California still the place you need to be, is it?
You know, I wanted to, after graduating film school, I wanted to test out the whole myth about, you know, you have to go to LA and blah blah blah. And at the time we moved like with the short film, and we moved at the same time of Outfest. And so Outfest really kind of cushioned our landing, and I think it actually was a good introduction to a lot of people. I think it has been beneficial, and it's something that we thought was going to be temporary, but the weather and like the lifestyle, the quality of life, I think we're kind of thinking that it might be home.